quite honest with you, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with Sue Bird.
All right, take this. Guess who Sue Bird chose to bring up again when the WNBA's viewership plummeted and interest vanished? Caitlin Clark, yes.
This is what we want. Instead, we're still getting bullshit on viewers.
Now, Stephen A. Smith, who has supported Caitlin Clark throughout the season, had no intention of stopping. His relationship with Sue Bird became extremely intense. He simply refused to stand by and listen to people disparage Clark.
ESPN. So because I work at my day job on ESPN, I'm supposed to ignore the fact?
Here's the problem, though. Sue Bird detested Stephen A.'s harsh assessment that the WNBA is losing fans and that, to be honest, nobody is paying much attention to the finals.
Talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product?
Despite working for ESPN, Stephen A. Smith doesn't hold back. He will always express his opinions about what is going on. And let's face it, Caitlin Clark is a huge draw. So the WNBA has had a hard time maintaining its numbers without her. Sue Bird responds that people are still attending and that stadiums are still full. The absurd thing is that she believes that's only because ticket costs have been drastically reduced.
Yeah, that's where these viewership numbers are coming. Yeah, it's a business you're in. It's not that they can't. And by the way, it's not that they can't be critical of certain things. They can have their opinions. But that's where I don't understand the
$10 for a ticket to a playoff game. Really? That's crazy. But really, if Caitlin Clark were playing, do we really believe the WNBA would be charging that much for tickets? No way, correct?
Tickets at the Target Center in Minnesota selling for as low as $10.
Okay, a WNBA legend. Then, I am referring to one of the most esteemed personalities in women's basketball. Sue Bird just became embroiled in this incredibly fierce and completely unanticipated issue. It all began when she purportedly held Caitlin Clark solely responsible for the sharp decline in WNBA playoff attendance and ticket sales. And to be honest, many people were really taken aback by Bird's remarks because, until far, Clark has received recognition for raising awareness of the sport.
To talk about the attendance and says basically that Caitlin had the highest attendance in the playoffs, which Caitlin Clark played her first 2 rounds in Connecticut, which only holds roughly 10,000, and they got swept, so they never made it back to Cambridge in Indiana to play a home game. So they absolutely did not have the.
As a longtime supporter of the WNBA's expansion and tenacity, Sue Bird believed that Stephen A. Smith's remarks were completely unjust and effectively denigrated the years of arduous effort that the league and its players had put in. In an attempt to preserve the WNBA's reputation and demonstrate that the league can flourish well beyond the impact of a single player, she promptly stepped in to put an end to that story. And here's the thing, she wasn't only annoyed with Stephen, she also targeted Shannon Sharp, who had been essentially stating that Caitlin Clark gave women's basketball an absurd amount of attention. Smith and Sharp had publicly lauded Clark, claiming that she was the primary cause of the enormous spike in interest and viewership. However, Bird believed that the WNBA's larger objectives were being undermined by all of this attention on Clark. This woman has long been an advocate for women's basketball and was determined that no one player should be the deciding factor in the league's growth. She believed that the true key to success was teamwork rather than merely celebrity.
There is a Caitlin Clark effect on all of basketball, and especially on women's basketball ratings. Kudos to her. She has elevated an entire sport.
However, this is the situation's harsh, unforgiving reality. It's also difficult to ignore. Trying to maintain the enthusiasm and fan interaction that Caitlin Clark had just exploded onto the scene presented the WNBA with an enormous hurdle. All of a sudden, the league found itself in a very difficult situation where they were desperately trying to find a way to keep the same level of interest while filling the massive gap created by her absence. Even though Clark wasn't present, a lot of fans had sincere hopes that the incredible momentum from her outstanding collegiate performances would merely flow straight into the WNBA playoffs.
And with Shannon, there's an aspect of them defending their stances on her. We were right about Caitlin and this is our defense. And I still think there's something twisted there because nobody ever said that Caitlin wasn't going to be a marketing.
How did the WNBA attempt to respond to this abrupt decline in interest? Then, easy. They drastically reduced the cost of playoff game tickets. The fact that those ticket prices fell in Caitlin Clark's absence was immediately apparent to fans, indicating that the league was in a frantic attempt to fill seats. On the surface, it appeared that the WNBA was rocking it in terms of attendance and completely selling out games. However, the truth was far more nuanced. The decision to reduce rates was made on purpose in order to prevent the complete humiliation of empty venues during these important games. Yes, it gave the impression that demand was high. But let's face it, lowering the price of tickets did not represent the true interest of the fans. The league was able to maintain the appearance of larger stadiums. However, it also served to conceal a significant underlying issue. The focus and intensity simply vanished without Clark.
You guys take a look at the stands. All the seats, even the courtside seats, are empty.
To be honest, if the WNBA had maintained ticket rates close to what they were during the Caitlin Clark season, those arenas probably would have been nearly empty. Without the great energy and enthusiasm that Clark constantly brought to every game, the league has really had trouble generating the same level of fan interest. Let's be honest, this was only a temporary solution, even though they were able to fill seats and maintain the image of high attendance. Even stranger is the fact that when Caitlin Clark first emerged on the scene, Sue Bird was among the first to recognize her enormous potential to revolutionize women's basketball. Her current remarks are therefore much more startling in light of how strongly she defended Clark's influence in the beginning. This complete change in her viewpoint indicates that Bird is now more concerned than ever with maintaining the league's long-term reputation.
The Liberty Games, they're full. It looks full in Vegas. It looks full every single place that you go. TD Garden sold out when Caitlin wasn't playing there for...
It's quite obvious today that Caitlin Clark is both a great hero and, let's face it, a major target in some quarters due to her amazing ability to garner a lot of publicity for women's basketball. This is somewhat of a sports classic, isn't it? An athlete nearly always encounters criticism after going viral and becoming extremely well-liked, sometimes even from their own peers. For every admirer applauding Clark's quick ascent, there are undoubtedly others who view her achievement as a direct challenge to the current system. Furthermore, Sheryl Swoopes, another WNBA legend, has expressed quite differing views regarding Clark's influence.
About things that Caitlin was doing wrong when, in my personal opinion, she was doing nothing but going out there and playing great basketball every night and ignoring the hate that was coming to her from all sides, not only from...
Similar to Caitlin Clark, the league is finding it extremely difficult to sustain the same crazy degree of fan involvement and fervor now that she is not in the spotlight. In the absence of a player with Clark's unquestionable appeal, the WNBA must face a difficult reality. They still have significant obstacles in gaining global recognition and sustaining support, despite recent tremendous advancements that have increased their fan base and visibility. Clark was a genuinely exceptional individual. Her unadulterated talent and captivating personality completely transformed the sport, attracting viewers who otherwise probably wouldn't have given women's basketball a second look.
Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now. Immediately, absolutely.
What she's good at, enthralling casual fans, generated this enormous surge in interest. The league has found it almost impossible to duplicate this wave. The WNBA is having a lot of trouble maintaining that momentum now that she has moved on, frantically attempting to maintain the excitement Clark sparked and fill the vacuum left by her star power. In the meantime, Caitlin Clark has remained completely focused on her game as her own popularity continues to grow. Despite the increasing clamor and attention around her, she continues to perform at an exceptional level. And let's face it, ignoring the growing number of those attempting to undermine her is becoming more and more difficult. People will always resist an athlete who appears to have it all, whether it's due to jealousy, insecurity, or something else entirely.
People stick around and want to watch the others. A rising tide lifts all boats, which is what we were saying, both Shannon Sharp and myself, when we addressed that issue. Why would you say a quote like that? We work for ESPN, so I'm supposed to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the facts? That ain't what...
Clark has undoubtedly had a hugely good influence on the sport, but she has also seen her share of critics and downright haters. The most annoying thing about this whole situation is that Caitlin Clark doesn't seem to have done anything wrong to warrant the criticism directed at her. Actually, the reverse is true. Her extraordinary fame has literally increased awareness of women's basketball and improved the WNBA as a whole. Rather than genuinely appreciating all the attention and excitement she has brought to the game, it frequently seems like these naysayers are far more interested in trying to undermine her success. But what do you know? Clark has handled all of this pressure and criticism with amazing grace, managing to maintain a laser-like focus on her performance. Additionally, she consistently improves her performance in the sport overall. In addition to attracting new followers, Clark's exceptional skills and endearing demeanor have generated a flurry of new discussions on the sport's future. Clark has done nothing but dominate and promote the game, giving it the exact kind of attention the league has been longing for. However, rather than receiving widespread praise for her accomplishments, some people have viewed Clark with suspicion, and in some cases, pure, unadulterated hate. To be honest, I don't think any criticism of her is justified.